Hello and welcome to the Gothic Unicorn and to my first bit of recording from my new craft space. Well, when I say my new craft space, it's actually the floor of my craft space. My mat, my old mat, because I haven't yet located the new one, is on the floor and I'm sat cross-legged behind it. The room is in absolute chaos. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to pretend that it's all magic because we moved in 5 days ago. And if you've ever moved into a house that's still being renovated, you'll know where I'm coming from. If you've ever lived in a house while it's been renovated, you'll know where I'm coming from. There is dust everywhere. The upstairs of the house is 95% finished. We still need to do a couple of little jobs in a couple of places. Downstairs is far from done. I've got a temporary kitchen and that's about it. But I'm persevering, and because you lovely people have been so good, still watching my videos that were scheduled while I've been moving, I wanted to get something done and out to you this week. It was going to be a vlog of putting together my craft room. However, that hasn't materialised, so I'm going to do something a little bit random. I'm not even quite sure what I'm doing at the moment, but I've just started filming and we'll see where we go. So, with that in mind, let's get on with it. Now, the easiest thing for me to have done would have been to have pulled out a 1/48 scale kit. But I did a few of those before losing my last craft space, shall we say, and I want to do something different. And I want to make something, and I want to make something that's fairly quick. So I've gone through my little metal charm pieces and I've pulled out a few possibilities. These are just the first few that I pulled out that I thought I could do something with. Now we've got this dragon, which looks great, but I don't know how I'd support him because he really looks like he's flying. And then we've got the little skeleton. We've got the bird skull, which again, it's quite a common sort of theme in a lot of spooky things. And then we've got a regular skull, except this one's got a little flower on it. And I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm feeling that at the moment. But these are the pieces that I've pulled out, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at some other bits that I've got and I'm just going to see if anything occurs to me. I've pulled out a couple of options for the base, and the main thing I think I'm going to use is one of these wooden rounds. They are slices of a branch. There's some that I bought, although you could do it yourself if you've got access to the correct kind of saw. The bark is coming off this one, but what I've done in the past is I've just put a little bit of glue down there and then squidged it up. That I think is going to be my ultimate base, but then I've got little cotton reels. Those could be useful. I've got them in that, and I've got them in a more natural finish. That's the smallest size I've got, which I think is going to work better with these. And then I've got some other wooden rounds. This is a thicker one, but I do have some thinner ones. It's probably going to be a case of piling one or the other of those on there and then putting something on top of it. That's what I'm thinking. This is just my sort of, okay, I want to make something what can I do kind of piece. It tends to be something vaguely ornamental, and yeah, this is, you know, it's a throw together. I'm not going to lie, it is a throw together. See, I'm not sure if putting that onto there would work. I do have this dragon in a gold and a silver as well, but it looks like it needs something a bit more imposing than that. So if I put it on there, obviously I take the loop off the top. Actually, if I found a normal one of them, maybe I can do something with that. That's a thought. Obviously the skeleton, if I stand him up, it's going to look a bit weird because he looks like he's being supported from something, so he might not be the right piece for this thing. The skull, well, I could actually go a different way and make a piece to go on the wall. Again, take the hanging loop off, get my little cutters and do that, and then have the skull on a panel to go on the wall. That again could work. Quite liking that idea, but I don't know if it's the right one for today. And then I've got my bird skull. Now, I did think that this one might need propping up or something, but that isn't quite high enough. That's potentially too high. I don't know. I'm really confused. But I know I want to make something, and this is my go-to when I want to make something. I play with pieces. So I'm going to go and see if I've got something other than that of a similar size that could sit on. And maybe for that, and I'll come back to you. Now, I have found some plain wooden pieces, and I'm actually going to have a go with this one. It's very simple. It's sort of the idea being kind of faux taxidermy. So I'm going to start off by removing this hanging ring. Now, this is usually really easy, and it is, and I just need to smooth it out a little bit. Now, I haven't got access to quite everything today, so it's not going to be as perfect as it might be normally, but it now fits onto the background piece, which kind of works. Now, what I could do is I could colour that. I could paint it, I could maybe cover it with something like a little bit of felt, and it would give it a bit more pizzazz maybe. I'm quite liking the bare wood, and I think that's what I'm going to go with. Now, this charm is empty on the back, which is a bit of a nightmare because trying to glue this onto here is going to be fun. What you could do is you could fill the back with hot glue, something like that, and then just use your regular glue to stick it onto there. But I don't know where the hot glue gun is. Well, I do. It's in a box that is somewhere over my right shoulder. There's a pile of boxes somewhere over my right shoulder. And yeah, what I do think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to find a marker, which I do know where they are, and see if I can't add a little bit of colour to the flower, just to draw attention to it because, well, why not? I'm also going to add some crystals that I spotted and just pulled out to the eyes so that it looks a bit more dimensional. But I think I'm going to begin with the glue. Now, I couldn't find my glue. I know I had glue. It was one of the last things I packed and I haven't found it. But fortunately, I did find a new bottle. So I've opened a new bottle. So we will start off by sticking this on here and decide if I am going to add some colour to that. I can't make up my mind. I'm being very indecisive today. I think it's because I know that I'm working in complete and utter chaos. And I know that a lot of you would be thinking, what does she look like if you could actually see me? It just proves what we do for our art. Well, that's my excuse anyway. Now what I've done is I have gone around the outside with the toothpick and a bit of glue, apart from the bottom of the jaw, because that bit is actually sort of scooped in a bit. So now I'm going to get my piece of wood and I'm going to stick the two together. And hopefully not too much glue is going to come out. I'd actually add the glue on there for a few seconds before I started filming, in the hope that it would actually start to go a bit tackier. This is my my usual glue, and it does start to go tacky the longer it's in the air. So as you can see, I've actually got that, and I will tip it upside down now, and that's stuck on. And I could actually make using buttons. You do get skull buttons sometimes. I've got some somewhere. I've seen them while I was packing. Where they are now, anybody's guess. But you could make some really interesting faux taxidermy type pieces if you got these flat back buttons that are animal heads and things like that, which I have seen over time. They're not my style, so I don't own them, but you could do it, and that would be quite a cost-effective way of decorating the walls of your miniature scene or doll's house. You know, don't rule anything out. This is a metal charm which I bought as part of a job lot, in all probability. No, actually I didn't. I bought it from a steampunk event that I didn't get to go to this year, and there was a couple of people there who were selling some really nice metal charms, but you can get them off eBay and things like that for reasonable money. So next step is going to be to get the gems out and try sticking those in the eye sockets. I say try because I don't know. I don't know if it's going to work, but we'll find out. Now, I would like to apologise if the sound on this video is not quite as good as normal. It's not my sound editor's fault. Honest, I'm not blaming you, dear. My husband does the sound for me. I don't understand it fully. He helps me. I put out videos that sound okay, allegedly. He says they sound better than they did before I let him mess with the sound. But I'm in a room that is now on the front of the house, whereas previously I was at the back, and my only issues were my neighbour with his lawnmower and chainsaw and umpteen other tools and items. I will miss him. He was a lovely neighbour, but he was noisy. Oh, and his garden pub, which he spent 4 years building, and then every spare moment sitting outside being really, really noisy. Because he was very much a sociable kind of a person, which is great, apart from when you're trying to work. And in that house, the reason I say outside my window is the property lines weren't parallel to the house, to the divisions between the house. So if I'd thrown something straight out of my craft room window, it would have landed in his garden, not in mine. Or, for those of you that get confused, a bit more, yard. I know the Americans refer to a garden as something specific, a flower garden, a vegetable garden. We just have gardens in the UK. Or, at the moment, I have a builder's yard, because that's what mine looks like. Anyway, I have put some of my glue into the eye sockets, and then I have applied the crystals. And I'm sorry about the babbling, but I actually feel like I'm talking to somebody that might listen to me for a change. Not been much of that at the moment. And then I have a piece that I can put on my doll's house wall. Obviously, I could change the colour of this with paint, with rub and buff, if I could find it. I have got some rub and buff, and that stuff is brilliant. It's metallic wax, and you apply it and then you buff it up with the cloth and it comes up really metallic. It's brilliant. But it is great for changing the appearance of pieces. Generally bigger pieces, I must admit, because you do need a bit of room to actually get a good shine. So there we have a mounted skull. Now I'm going to have a go at making something else, because that's been a bit on the quick side, and I do want to give you a reasonable video today, even if it's not a full video, because I do appreciate all my viewers. I appreciate that my last video, which I did absolutely no promotion of at all, has had over 100 views. I don't know why. It's just me looking at bits, and yeah, they were my emergency videos. I did a couple of them, looking through my miniature collection while I was sorting things, just so I got something to post, because I really didn't want to not post anything, and it seems to have paid off. So if you've watched it and you enjoyed it, thank you. I do appreciate it, and I will be getting back to any comments really, really soon. I've got internet again now, although I can't find my laptop charger, so there is that, and the poor thing is going a bit on the flat side. Once I figure that one out, we'll be okay. For my second piece, because I couldn't just leave it at one, I am going to use the dragon. Now, I've gone with the sort of old metal look, just because I think it's going to work. But as I say, I've got this in a bright gold and in silver effect as well. And I've found out some more pieces of the wood that I used to back the skull. That one is the same size as the one I used for the skull. And then I've got a smaller one, and I've got a natural wood little cotton reel thing, a little bobbin. That's the word I was looking for before. And I'm going to stack these up to make me a base to put these on. So this is simply a case of getting a bit of glue and sticking things together. You know, it can be as, these sort of pieces can be as complicated or as simple as you like, but I'm I'm not in the mood or have got the capacity to cope with complicated at the moment. So we'll stick with something fairly simple. And then pop that on there, and then that will make a nice base that I can then glue my little dragon to the bottom. Now, if I was feeling so inclined, I could paint this. I kind of feel like it would look quite good if it was black, but I'm not convinced that working with paint at the moment is a good idea. What I may do is I may just try on the underneath with a black marker and see if I can get a reasonable effect. So I'm going to find a black marker and we'll give that a go. Well, I went to find a marker, and instead of black I've gone with one which is dark wood. Now this is a Deco Time twin marker, and they're alcohol based, and I like using them for my smaller pieces, as you might know if you've watched the videos where I do 1/48 scale, because they don't give you the thickness that paint does, and the smaller the scale the more important that is. And all I'm doing is I'm just rubbing over the piece with the pen. Now this is a very juicy pen, it's a new pen, and the ink is spreading really, really well. So I'm going to end up with brown fingers, so do excuse me, because it's going to happen. And I think that's going to look far better. I was going to go with black, but I spotted this one. I sat in my little caddy and thought, perfect. So that's all of that, and I just need to go over the top, and hopefully you can see that I'm not actually having to put any effort into colouring that. It's soaking the ink up really, really well. So obviously the next thing is going to be to stick him into place, which I'm going to do, and I'm going to use the hole in the top of the bobbin to give me a better adherence. Is that the right word? Make it stick better. Well, hopefully it will make it stick better. So we'll pop him onto there and see if that works. If not, it might take a bit more glue and a bit more baffing about. I think it's going to take a bit more glue, so I'm going to go off and do that off camera, because it could end up in some interesting language, and I'll be back in a moment. Now, I did try and do this with my regular glue, but because I wanted it dry so I can get it done, get this video done, I changed plan a little bit and I used a little bit of UV resin. It's just held it really, really quickly. Now what I actually thought of this as I was trying to stick it was, it looked like some kind of trophy, maybe an Order of the Dragon or something like that. I'm not sure, but that's the sort of thing that went through my head. Now, obviously, to cover up where the glue is, I want to put something, and what I want to do is I want to make it look as if the dragon's coming out of a pile of treasure. So I've pulled out some glitter glue. Now these are all stickles, and I don't know how many of these colours are still available, but they're all the sort of golden colours that I got. I've got gold, I've got goldenrod, I've got rose gold, and I've got platinum. Now I think I'm going to use the platinum one for this. Looking with that, it's going to provide a nice bit of contrast to the colour of the dragon, and you know, it should look quite nice. So I'm going to do some battle with that and put some of that onto my cardboard. I say do battle because sometimes they come out really, really easily, sometimes they don't. And then we're going to apply it around the bottom. And this one came out really, really easy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my cocktail stick and I'm going to apply a reasonable amount around the bottom. Now obviously if you did this yourself, you could add whatever you wanted around the bottom. You could use little beads or something like that to look like the dragon's treasure that it's rising up from. I always think the dragons should have treasure. I don't know if that's a result of the sort of Lord of the Rings, the Hobbit influence. Certainly think of the dragon in the Lord, not so much in the Lord of the Rings, the dragon in the Hobbit with his treasures. Now this, because it's glitter glue, what I find is you need to put it on thicker than you think you do because it dries down quite a lot, and I might find that when it dries I actually need to apply a second coat. That's not an issue, but this is about the only glitter that I like using because it is suspended in glue and it doesn't get everywhere. So there we have my dragon trophy, and I think for something that I didn't think when I pulled it out was going to be what I used, it's come out pretty good. Quite like that. Maybe I need to add a little bit of metal tape on the bottom so it looks like it's been presented to somebody. That might be what it needs. I don't know where there is any metal tape at the moment though, so that can stay for the future. And here we have my two little impromptu makes for today. I'm not going to be doing more makes from the floor, it's too uncomfortable. Getting up to find pieces is a real nuisance, especially when you don't know where everything is. And at the moment I don't know where everything is, although I've just located my laptop charger. I've actually been and borrowed my husband's. He told me where his was and I've plugged my laptop in, and I've just looked to my right and I've got a set of clear drawers, and in the bottom drawer is my laptop charger. It's been looking at me this entire time, laughing at me, or at least that's the way it feels. Anyway, I've got my skull plaque and my dragon trophy, and they're ready to go into the doll's house when the doll's house is ready to receive furnishings again, which won't be long. I promise we're going to be back to the doll's house very, very soon. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, please like, comment and subscribe. It all really helps the channel, and I upload pretty much every week, doing my best to keep uploading every week. Normally on a Friday, but life gets in the way, so I don't promise anything. But Until next time, bye.